Everyone. So normally I don't do an introduction to my videos. I'm streaming live and I just kind of post them the way they came out. But this time, because there was a little bit of technical glitches at the start, I thought that maybe I should do some kind of introduction, just kind of explain. So yesterday I was at Russkulls Comics and Collectibles in Lockport, New York. I was joined by the owner, Russ, super nice guy, and you'll see in the video he's very passionate about his shop, which every comic book owner should be. So that's pretty awesome. And but he's constantly bouncing in and off camera to bring in stuff and show all the cool things that he has on his shop. And one of the things I specifically like about him is his support of local artists. You'll see some examples of where he sells local artists' art and stuff like that in the store, which is awesome. Now, I mentioned some technical issues. The first one was that I had some issues where I couldn't stream to both YouTube and Twitch for some reason. Not sure what happened there. So you'll see I pause and come back, and I'll try to edit it as smooth as possible for the final product. I also had some issues with the aspect ratio on my iPad after I shared some Dan Mora art. Now, the original plan was me to show some Dan Mora art, talk about how I want to influence my art, and simplify mine a little bit. I was getting too crazy with line work, and then I was going to draw Superman, right, as kind of a nod to Dan Mora's drawing of World's Finest. But when I got to Russ's shop, I found out that he doesn't carry DC Comics currently, so I had to make a quick pivot because I wanted to make sure I supported the shop as best as possible. And I pivoted to Doctor Doom, and you can see on the side there the final product. So it threw me a little bit, but we still had fun drawing at the shop, and that's what matters. Um, so then, last but not least, just I'll still do that Dan Mora nod at some point, and enjoy Doctor Doom and Russkulls Comics and Collectibles. Thanks.
All right, I'm live. All right, I'm Tim Lundberg, and I'm your aspiring artist. Coming live this Wednesday, New Comic Book Day from Russkulls Comics and Collectibles. Joined by the owner, Russ here. How you doing?
Good, I'm doing great.
Awesome, fantastic. So here's how we're gonna do this. I'm gonna kind of go through a little bit about what I'm doing art wise today, where my head's at, and then I'll talk to Russ a little bit about comic books, what's going on in the store, and a little bit of his history of collecting comics and everything like that. Kind of have some fun with him, and then whoever else might walk in the shop today. So first thing first, kind of set up like where my head's at artistically and everything like that. So those of you guys who follow me on Twitter and everything, you saw that I'm a Vikings fan. You saw me do this like Minnesota Vikings themed drawing, and I posted it and I was like whatever. And then now like I immediately hate it already, which is like I guess maybe typical for me, but it's a little busy, right? And I think that's been part of my thing. I started doing an absolute Batman, um, the other day, which is also a lot of lines going on in him. Now he's thick, right? Absolute Batman's huge and thick, so which is fine with that, but I still don't love that. And then for you guys who are big Conan the Barbarian fans, hashtag Sumerian September, I started like I had to like draw something with that, and then I came up. I was doing that, right? And again, lots of line work, like almost too much. Like Bernie Wrightson, I am not, and I probably never will be, no matter how hard I work. So then I started having like anxiety about my art and the anatomy and a little uh, craziness yesterday. So I thought I got to get like a simpler line, and so I started. I'll just go with a thicker, like black, right? Like on the ink, right? It's part of the technology where I'm like skipping pencils and inking and everything, and just drawing on digitally. That's making me sloppy. So I was like, I'm just gonna like go crazy, and that kind of turned into this Conan yesterday, which I'll play through the time lapse so you can see just how sloppy I started, and where it just kind of became its like own living thing. But at the end of the day, what I'm going to try to do today, I'm going to draw a little Doctor Doom. I've been meaning to draw Doctor Doom for some time now, since the announcement of casting Doctor Doom and everything, and it's always huge in the comics and everything like that. He's like my favorite Marvel villain and everything. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to do a little Doctor Doom. But what I want to try to do is have a little bit more simpler line. Now, I'll never be like Ed McGuinness with a really cartoony look, but I need to find some kind of balance in between. So I will give you an example of like an artist who I think has awesome balance of like that cartoony look that I can like maybe learn from just real quick. And that's like Dan Mora, right? And Dan Mora, that's like not showing up on the Twitch stream very well, but um, that's weird. Dan Mora is a fantastic artist. You can see he's got some simple lines along the characters and everything like that, but also like still has some really good hash work and everything like that, but just not quite as busy as what I'm doing. So like obviously that would be like the dream. I'm not going to get that level or anything like that. There's a reason he's the professional I'm aspiring, but that's kind of a little bit of where I'm at mentally today, try to get closer to. So back to drawing, and like I said, I'm going to try to do. Why am I having that weird? I'm going to try to do a little bit of Doctor Doom, like I said. So, and beforehand, I did this really quick scribble, and and that's just to like set up some formatting that I wanted to do for the work. So just so I'm not like going crazy. But I'm gonna unpair my iPad real quick and repair it because I'm having a little bit of a technical issue. It looks like. So I'm hearing. And while we do this, Russ, why don't you join in here? So how long has this store been open?
We opened up the middle of March
Okay.
because the old store Pulp 716 shut down the end of October, unfortunately.
Yep.
And I have been a collector for over 40 years. I was a regular at Pulp 716, would come every week to get the new comics. So I've always wanted to open my own comic book store. So when Pulp shut down, I looked into and getting a loan to get it started. And so I took over the building in December and opened the middle of March. Had our grand opening March 30th. The end of the month that coincided with the Easter parade that Lockport had going down Main Street. So it was really cool. We had Wolverine come out and Spider-Man, and uh, pictures with the kids outside as they were coming with their Easter baskets to get a little treat.
That's cool.
So yeah, it turned out really nice. In the month of May, I finally started getting the new comics because you have to order 2 months ahead of time for the new comics, and they're coming in every week now. The only thing I'm not able to get at this time is DC Comics,
Okay.
but I am getting Marvel, of course, Image, IDW, some of the other off brands like Boom, Titan. So yeah, it's going pretty good.
Awesome.
I'm getting a bigger customer base, it seems, every week. Every week it seems like I have someone new come in and say, "Oh, I didn't know you were open."
Yeah.
And they say that they'll be back, so that's always good. I tell them I always like to see a repeat customer, so
That's good.
yeah.
That's good. So, the other thing, so you mentioned you don't have DC, but the one thing that I thought was kind of cool about the place is you do have some back stock, which is great, and then also you have some other things like collectible cards,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Which are kind of neat. I'm a big fan of that kind of stuff. And then you also have even some stuff like supporting some local artists and everything like
Yes.
that. Like you can show too. Well, I'm trying to fix my tech glitch. You want to grab those?
Sure.
Sorry, we can promote the other artists as
Yeah.
well. That's always fun.
There's a local artist that stopped in my store and he draws sketch cards, okay? And they start out with a blank one like this, okay? And then from there, he draws.
Let me see this.
Okay,
We'll get it closer to the
there.
camera so you can see
There's
like the quality of
Batman.
the work there.
And he's, like I said, he's a local artist that lives in Pendleton. Wanted to know if I could promote his artwork at my store. And, I've sold, I think like three of the cards by now, and he does sell them on eBay also. I do have another bigger picture that he drew of Slimer from Ghostbusters. So yeah, they're really cool, and they definitely add a unique flair to any collection. And as you also mentioned, on the racks in my store and in the long boxes and short boxes is all my comics that I've collected over the past 40 years since going back to the 1980s. So I have a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I also have some collectible toys going back to the 1990s that I
Yeah.
preserved and didn't let myself or my kids open up. So they are on sale also with a bunch of comic book character cars, Hot Wheels that are after based after different characters like Hulk and Captain America, Deadpool, Daredevil, all kinds. Also, the trading cards. I was a big trading card fan back in the 90s when they had the death of Superman and Batman broke his back. And they first came out with the first series of the Marvel Universe, which led to the second, third, and
That
fourth
was one of my favorite
series.
things that I saw
Yes.
in here was
Uh-huh.
that you had some still in the package, like
Yes, I did have some left over.
that were cool.
Yeah.
All right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna end the stream real quick because I think I have to reset, and
Okay.
I hate to do this. Like
Okay.
this is a never amateur hour here. But I'm not. It's not letting me reconnect my iPad, so I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, we are back live. All right, so tech issue. Reset the iPad. Suddenly we're working. Things are good. All right, so I'm gonna draw some Doctor Doom, like I mentioned. So I'm gonna start drawing as we're still talking. Now you it was your you decide like I was like, oh, I could draw this guy, and you're like, let's do Doctor Doom, and I was like, cool. I've been waiting for it anyway, so perfect. So I appreciate that.
Well,
So you have go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, well, the Fantastic Four has always been my favorite
Nice.
Marvel character, superhero group. Okay, so of course Doctor Doom is one of my favorite villains, and at this time in the Marvel Universe, Doctor Doom is Sorcerer Supreme because he has Doctor Strange's cape and the Eye of Agamotto. So he's pretty popular right now
Yeah.
in the Marvel Universe, as he is all the time in the Marvel Universe. So I think he would be an awesome character to draw.
Yeah. So obviously, like I said, I've been thinking about drawing him for a while because there's always like some uh, new new thing, right? He was just cast again with Robert Downey Jr., right? Big
Yes,
controversial casting stuff like that. So I was like, all
yes.
right, cool. It's timely. I'm gonna do that. So one thing those of you guys who have been watching my stream for a little bit notice might be a little bit different is I'm starting with a pencil this time. I'm going to try to slow down, think about that simpler line like I mentioned before. So maybe I don't try to like fast forward and like skip to inks and just like, oh, I can fix it with the fact that it's digital. Like take a breath, slow down. Let's get a little bit structure out there so then I can start being more discretionary with my lines. I can decide which lines I want to put in and stuff like that. Sometimes having less lines, yeah, every line's more important, so you got to be like really careful that it makes sense. And then you can hide that with more lines, but then you get too sloppy like I have. So there's like a whole balance that we got to try to figure out. But cool. Do you have a favorite Doctor Doom story? Like, do you have anything like, oh, this, like when I read this or anything like that, like or a situate Doctor Doom specific like thing that you're like, oh man, I loved this Doctor Doom when it was like this or something like that. You tell me.
Well, like I said, I've been collecting for over 40 years, and with Fantastic Four being one of my favorites, I have from issue 30 back when they were 12 cents. I didn't buy it when it was 12 cents. I had to buy it from a different comic book store. But yeah, I followed them from issue 30 all the way to the present. Okay,
Yeah.
so Doctor Doom has been in a lot of storylines. Okay, I think one of my favorite ones is Fantastic number 200, where Mr. Fantastic had lost his ability to stretch. Doctor Doom sent him into outer space so he could regain his superpowers, just so he could try to defeat him. Which, of course, in the end, Doctor Doom was defeated. His mask was ripped open by Reed Richards,
Of course.
and they were in this glass chamber where he saw a million reflections of his horribly disfigured face. So, of course, it shut his brain down for a little while at least until he came back 20 issues later.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of my favorite fight scenes with Mr. Fantastic and Doctor Doom.
And it wasn't it was actually Doctor Doom. It wasn't a Doombot or anything in
No,
this.
it wasn't a Doom.
Yeah, that's
There was a time too when Doctor Doom was presumed dead, and his ward took over. His ward took over as being Doctor Doom and the ruler of
Latveria.
Latveria. I don't know
However you pronounce
however you
it.
say it. Anyhow, so the young ward was brainwashed into believing he was actually Doctor Doom. Okay,
Okay.
and so then he was trying to defeat the Fantastic Four, trying to do the same things that Doctor Doom tried to do in the very beginning, blasting their whole headquarters off into outer space and trying to kill him again. That way, like he did in the very beginning with the Submariner back in that, what, issue 4 or 5? It was in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Before my time.
yeah. So anyhow, then things kind of twisted around where that his name was Kristoff, okay? Even though he had Doom's armor and everything, he actually became an ally to the Fantastic Four during a time when Mr. Fantastic and Doctor Doom were both presumed dead, and actually became a temporary member of the Fantastic Four.
I don't know that story. So that's I remember like I read a ton of my dad's old comic books. Like I've people who followed me have heard this story about me finding my dad's comic books and stuff, and that's kind of like what got me into it. Um, but I read a lot of old Fantastic Four. He had a ton of Fantastic Four, but I don't remember that story. But that's cool.
Yeah.
I think it's like those old stories. That have me always where I think of Doctor Doom as like a Fantastic Four villain 1st. Like he's become much more of like entire Marvel Universe villain, and like there's Avengers and stuff like that, and like but like to me he'll always be like a Fantastic Four villain first.
Yeah, he's, to me, he's like the Joker is to Batman, okay?
Yeah.
Or Lex Luthor is to Superman.
Superman, yeah.
Okay, their main adversary.
Right, I agree. Yeah. All right, cool. I like drew this really like terrible behind there. You can see like just give me an idea of what I was gonna do. And now it's distracting me. So I'm like trying to like keep it up enough that I can like see a little bit of my plan, but also like not have it ruin what I'm trying to draw. Um, so as I'm going through, like first, I'm just trying to establish like the pose, make sure I have the like general anatomy right before I start getting too detailed and everything like that. And I'll have to uh, go through and readjust some stuff. But again, that's kind of the benefit of the digital work is I will be able to adjust where I make some flaws and everything like that as I go, and then decide. Uh, at what point do I decide to like can't resist and go right to the ink, but I'm gonna try to stay in pencil for a little bit. My favorite Doctor Doom image in my brain when I think of Doctor Doom, like when it like is the Secret Wars cover where he's like I should have pulled up an image so I'd have it ready, where he's all like his armor's all falling apart from Secret Wars and everything. Just awesome. Like those of you guys who've seen the cover, he's like kneeling, he's got his armor all falling apart and everything. That's it. He's got it right here.
I actually have this comic for sale here.
Yeah, look at that. See, here I gotta hold it closer. Like, how awesome is that art? Like, that is like, oh my god, like that's like Doctor Doom right there to me. Like, that's like such a like good Doctor Doom. I'm just like,
And that was, of course, him fighting the Beyonder,
yeah.
and who they fought in the second Secret Wars, which, in my opinion, really stunk compared to the first Secret Wars.
I agree.
And they somehow defeated the Beyonder. Well, Doctor Doom did, of course, with Doctor Strange's help, and I believe Claw's help. Yes, Claw's. Oh no, the Molecule Man. The
Molecule Man.
Okay, and so Doctor Doom, of course, he took over everything. He rewrote everything. He made the Earth a planet of his own, where the members of the Fantastic Four were actually his wife and his children. So he tried to take everything away from Reed Richards, and somehow Reed Richards and some of the other heroes managed to get to Battle World and stop Doom and return everything back to normal again, like they always do.
Once again, establishing Doctor Doom as a primarily antagonist of the Fantastic Four and Reed Richards, which is good.
And the whole universe, actually,
Yeah.
and the multi-universe.
Right. So cool. All right. Now, do you keep up on like the movies? Are you like, were you like when they cast Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom? Were you like into that news, or is that something like, oh, I mostly just read the comics? Like,
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I like the movies. Okay, the first Fantastic Four movie was good. The Rise of the Silver Surfer was good. Then they rebooted it and remade it as the Fantastic Four,
yeah,
which stunk, I thought. And now I'm looking forward to the new remake that they're doing.
yeah,
Um, there has been a little buzz about that. I'm one that doesn't really follow the actors as much as the storyline
okay,
and, the actual story of the movie.
cool. So, what about so you watched all the Avengers though? You watched
Yes.
all that stuff,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I liked how they tried to keep it as close as they could to the comic book storyline of Thanos and the Infinity
Infinity. Okay.
Gauntlet. That they did a very good job
They
with
did a
that.
pretty good job.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, some people died at the end that really shouldn't have died. Didn't die in the comic books, but of course we'll see how they bring that back.
you can't do it all exactly the same. I think they've done a struck a good chord, and like one thing that I always try to say is like, are you being true to the spirit of the thing,
Right,
right? Like you're not gonna be
exactly.
exactly right, but are
Mhm,
you gonna be like true to the spirit of the
mhm,
character? And I'm more about being true to the spirit of the character than like saying you have to be exactly to the character,
mhm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. See, this is a fancy, nice digital. I can just erase that. When I don't
Tim,
like it.
while you're drawing, do you want me to introduce some comics that came out
Yeah, you can
recently?
feel free. What came out? I know the Savage
Okay.
Wolverine came out.
Yeah.
I know I was into that.
This is a good spot.
Yeah, you're good right
Okay.
there.
The Exceptional X-Men #1 came out this week. Okay.
Yeah,
That's where all the X titles are rebooting and starting with #1 again.
I'm super excited about that one.
Another one that came out this week was Star Trek #500, which looks like a very interesting comic. Also, another one that everyone's very interested in is The Acolyte #1 came out this week.
I didn't think I dig the Star Wars stuff, but like I got like into it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then Venom War 2 came out, which is huge. That's going through all the Marvel titles pretty much. And Venom War Spider-Man #2 came out this week. We had a lot of comics come out this week, actually.
That's
I'm
good.
only showing you a portion of them, mainly the highlights. Ultimates #4 came out. Okay, this is where they explain what happened to the Fantastic Four in this Ultimate universe that now the Maker has reshaped to his will, but the Maker is got trapped by Tony Stark's father, and the heroes are becoming heroes again, and they have so many months left before the Maker escapes his trap, and they have to prepare for that so that they can take back the world and put it back the way it was. But this is a very good, interesting read. I'm not sure how they're going to bring back the Fantastic Four in this.
You have to read it to find
Yes,
out.
I don't want to give anything away, so yes, it's a good read.
Awesome.
Another interesting one that came out this week is What If Donald Duck Became Thor? Okay, recently they had What If Donald Duck Became Wolverine, which was very popular, and I kind of enjoyed that story. And this one too, with Donald Duck finding the cane and it becomes the Hammer of Thor, and he gets Thor's powers to stop the invasion of the Stone Ducks from invading Earth. It is a pretty good read, and it's pretty interesting. The next one they have coming up is What If Minnie Mouse Became Ms. Marvel? So that should
Wow,
be
there you go.
interesting.
I didn't even know they were doing that, but I guess it makes sense
Yes.
considering like where Marvel and
Yeah.
Disney are connected now.
They started out with Uncle Scrooge and the Infinity Dime. Okay,
Okay.
instead of the Infinity or the Infinity Wars and Infinity Gauntlet, it was the Infinity Dime, which of course spanned across all the multi-universes of Uncle Scrooge's, all having the Infinity Dime, and of course the one Uncle Scrooge wanted all the dimes for himself.
Of
But
course.
yes, of
Makes
course,
sense.
yes. But that was a good read too. Another interesting one that came out this week is Marvel Zombies Dawn of the Dead #1. I love the Marvel Zombies. It's kind of morbid, I guess, the thought of a superhero turning into a zombie and wanting to eat everybody, but I think it's a little cool. So, and this time it features I Am Groot
Okay.
becoming the source of the zombie virus on Earth.
Oh, spoiler.
Spoiler alert. Okay. One other thing that came out actually, I think it was a couple weeks ago, is a very interesting read, is Wolverine's Revenge #1. Okay. And this also came out in a red band cover or issue, okay, polybagged. Call it red band with a warning on it because of content. And it's $1 more, of course, because it's polybagged and it's a red band. But I had to open one up. I had to open one up to see
What's the
what
differences?
the differences were.
Yeah.
And I will not give any spoiler alerts away,
I'm
but
guessing
there
violence.
are like 5 additional pages that are not in the regular Wolverine's Revenge. The artwork is awesome. So yeah, it is. I think it makes it a way better read with the red band variant.
Yeah, Greg Capullo was the artist on that, and he's been sharing some sneak peeks like on his Instagram and stuff
Yes.
like that,
Mm-hmm.
and I like have been really enjoying
Mm-hmm.
his work on that. That's
It must happen in an alternate universe because some of the things that happen, I don't know how they would come back from. You know.
well, we'll find out when you
Yes.
guys got that's one of
Looking.
those
Yeah. Looking forward to issue #2.
one of those things you gotta watch or read whatever. Cool. All right. So I said I was gonna like try to stay in pencils as long as possible. Like I want to jump in on some inks just for the like blacks a little bit, to make it easier. Now one thing, so I'm just gonna do another layer so that again, if I hate it, I can like escape it. Um, and then I'm gonna do. All right, I'm not gonna go crazy like that Conan where I'm like super thick scribbling all over or anything like that, but I am gonna do a little bit of a thicker line to kind of force myself. I can't hash like cross stitch like everywhere. I have to be like a little bit more thoughtful, and I'm gonna really just start with some deep areas. I'm gonna know will be black like in the cloak and everything too. Before I go I go crazy. Uh, maybe this is me failing at my quest to better myself today. That's gonna remain to be seen, I guess. But as an artist, right, you're always learning, trying to be better. That's like the whole gig and like the whole thing about like me doing these podcasts, these streams. So I can't believe you had like you just pulled that Secret Wars out real quick and easy. Like you knew exactly where to
Well,
find
I
it.
have a rack where I actually have some of the Secret Wars toys, the action figures
Oh,
that
I
they
had
had
those as a kid.
when they had the 25th anniversary of the first Secret Wars. Toy Biz came out with a line of all 12 issues in the package with 2 action figures. Okay.
Okay.
And I didn't have the one with that issue of Doctor Doom, but I did have the issue
You had the
with
issue though,
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah.
That I had the some of those Secret Wars action figures as a kid. I was a young lad back then,
Hmm.
and I had action figures. I wanted to play with action figures, and I really I liked that. I had the Doctor Doom one
Hmm.
actually.
Yeah. I actually, at that time, I was a young father, okay, but I still liked the toys and I would buy the toys for myself and try to keep the kids from not opening them on me.
Well, as a father with a son, I can kind of relate to buying stuff that you
Hmm.
like for your kids.
Mhm.
We always open them,
Mhm.
but because we play,
Mhm.
especially Legos,
Yeah.
but which are way cooler nowadays than when I was a kid.
Mhm.
But there was certainly I can relate to like you having your kid get into like what you're into. So
Well, I actually had four daughters.
oh,
Okay,
okay,
so
yeah,
they weren't too much into the comic book scene and stuff like that.
yeah,
Of course, they like the action figures, and they like anything that looks cool. They
yeah.
want to open up and play with. So I did, have some that I have on a shelf over here for uh, just on display. Not for sale.
Right.
Even though I have had a couple offers for some of them up there.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because those go way back into the 90s. But yeah,
yeah.
and like you said, I have some of the trading cards from the 90s, back when Batman broke his back and Superman died, and then Superman came back. So they had a set of cards for the death of Superman. They had a set of cards for the return of Superman. They,
That I don't remember. Like I have,
hmm
like everybody in the world has a copy of the Death of Superman, which is
yes.
why they're not worth anything pretty much. But like so I remember that all of that. But I don't remember like the
hmm
trading cards. But there's, the '90s were there was a lot going on, so it's easy to miss some
hmm
stuff back then. Like for sure, there was a lot with
Well,
you know,
back then I loved the chase cards too, the bonus cards, the holograms,
yeah.
the prisms, the chromium cards. Marvel even had a complete set of metal cards, where every card in the set, in the pack, was a metal card.
Oh man, I don't remember that
Yeah,
either.
and I just recently sold a complete set of that for $80.
No, wow.
I had it for 130, but he talked me down to 80. So
Good for him.
yeah.
That's cool.
hmm
I didn't even know about that either. Jeez, shows what I know. All the stuff I missed out on.
I think X-Men had a chromium set also.
I remember
They had like a
like
glossy finish to the card. Then nice cards too.
I remember a lot of comic books came out like they were bagged. That was like the thing, and they had like cards that came in it like X Force #1, right?
Yeah.
You could you
hmm
I remember
hmm
that's the one that stands out to me.
Yeah.
Um which you know um good for Rob Liefeld, all the success with Deadpool and everything right now. But that's the one I remember. Those issues, like I remember stuff coming out and they're like bagged up and they're not like the usual.
hmm Yeah, especially when the Human Torch died in the Fantastic Four. That issue of the Fantastic Four was bagged, with
Okay,
the
yeah,
surprise ending, and stuff. So yeah, they did have some polybagged ones. I think they just kind of do it to promote the comic more, or
yeah,
make it seem more valuable. Speaking of those Superman ones, I do have a couple of them, and actually,
yeah.
I just sold one the other day.
You did.
Yes, I did,
Wow.
and I actually sold a newsstand edition. So I sold one that was in the bag and the newsstand edition.
I'm like really
So
surprised,
yeah,
like
yeah. So
because
someone
like
still,
someone
it
still
was a
made it.
younger,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
teenager. So it probably wasn't around when it came out the first time. So
Yeah, probably.
yeah.
I already hate this arm, by the way. But
I love the fact that people come into the store and they like the wide selection, the wide variety that I have,
mm-hmm.
the back issues that I have. A lot of people go through trying to fill in their collections,
Yeah.
which is kind of depleting my collection. But I'll end up restocking, and it's been a lot of fun. Yeah, I've met a lot of interesting people, okay, and I love sharing my passion of comic books and reading with everyone else that has the same passion.
That's one thing, as I've done this at a couple different yeah, it is Procreate that I'm using. The with like going to different comic book stores, I see different methods of like the business, right?
Mhm,
And not as many places have the back issues and stuff like that.
mhm,
Though I've come across some places recently that have had a lot of back issues, yours included, where I was like, oh man, that might be a dying breed, but you're still out there. So
Yeah.
you don't have to only get your back issues like at a convention
Right.
or at online, right? A lot of people do it online and everything like that, which I totally get. um there's still you could still go to a local comic book store and like browse and seek it out and stuff like that. So
Yeah. I do have a lot of customers that love coming in here and going through the old ones, picking out some, and coming back next month and doing the same thing. And it's a lot of fun. And I love getting the new comics in now because I was one that would always come first thing Wednesday morning, be at the doorstep of the store as soon as they open to get the new comics that come out. And now I get them before everyone else does, so I can read them before everyone else
there you
does
go.
too.
There you go.
So I guess that's one of
The
one of the
perks.
perks, yes.
The perks. Yeah. But yeah, because like, so many places it's like the which I totally um approve of and think people should engage in is the pull list.
Yeah,
And that's become such a like way people consume their comics. It's been a big part of the business, which I get. It guarantees customers and everything like that. But sometimes I do miss the idea of just walking in and browsing and just like discovering. But that thank God for indie comics that we don't always know about, right? It's like where we can still like, oh, what's this? And find stuff that's new. So
yeah, and I do get quite a few image because I'm a fan of Spawn, okay,
okay,
which
yeah,
has offspring into Gunslingers, Spawn, King Spawn, what's the other one?
like a lady spawn or something. What
Scorched,
scorched?
which is like a Spawn team, okay,
Okay,
that they had the Lady Spawn
I
and
knew there was
a
a lady
couple
spawn
of other,
before.
I think the Medieval Spawn, a couple of them make a team together.
Okay.
And now, so that's been running for a while, and now Todd McFarlane came out with a couple limited series ones, Rat City, Misery, Sam and Twitch, Case Files, which seems to be ongoing. So I'm not sure if that's going to be a limited series or if that's going to continue ongoing. Monolith was another limited series one that he did, which was pretty good. I like that one. But yeah, I tried to get a wide variety of different comics.
All right, so I don't love the right arm, which obviously it's not done yet. I only started the shading and everything like that, but I'm gonna like take a moment. This is like where I'm gonna try to learn from some of the things I've done. A step back. I'm gonna go back to pencils a little bit and just try to like get tighter with what I am. In fact, I might just get rid of that so you can't see it at all. So if I don't like it, it's not interfering with what I'm looking at. I'm gonna try to like tighten that up and try again in a different way with pencil. And then I can always uh jump in and like switch back to ink and stuff like that. I can keep going back and forth as much as I want with Procreate. So I'm gonna do a little bit of that so I can try to like figure out where I went wrong with that arm. So, but cool. All right.
Okay, well, I can let you know too that at our store, it's called Russkulls Comics and Collectibles because I do have like some Sabres sports memorabilia.
How are we
Uh,
doing today, sir?
hello, how you doing? Some vintage toys, some
Oh,
helmets.
I started so much different from the last time I
Yeah,
stopped in.
yeah.
Nice.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Just had a customer walk in, so go ahead, take care.
Okay.
How you?
How would you like Brockport with the calendar? When I ordered them, I used to get them for Jay and Amy,
Uh-huh.
and you could just hang it on your wall or take it over or whatever. I get them every year if I'm still around.
Uh-huh. Okay.
When the time comes, I
Uh-huh.
get one for you folks.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah, I get them from the State University of New York, Brockford, Dr. Scott Rochette,
Uh-huh.
the professor of synoptic meteorology,
Wow.
is in charge of the Weather Calendar Project.
Huh.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah, I like to get them for Please, do you have any coffee in there yet?
No, I'm sorry, I
Still
don't.
don't have any
Yeah,
coffee.
yeah, I'm still
You-
just
you-
just a comic.
Oh, you added so much since
Yeah.
I was in here the
And
last
I've gotten,
time.
you know, the new comics in, so, you know, I have
Yeah,
a table for the kids, you know, with Transformers and Power Rangers.
I don't like comics, sorry about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, but if I get the weather calendars this year, I'll save one for
Okay.
you.
yeah, and then, if I do get the coffee and tea and stuff, I'll definitely advertise in the front window so everyone
Yeah.
can know. Okay?
Yeah, what's your name?
My name's Russell.
What is it?
Russell.
Russell?
Yeah.
Russell, your last name?
Scrafari.
What is it?
Scrafari?
Sorry?
Scrafari.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Roger Whittle, Witthuhn.
Okay.
German name.
Yeah. Well, I'm full-blooded Italian.
Yeah, I say that. Well, we all come, all of our ancestors come from somewhere.
That's right.
Over across.
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
now we're all Americans, right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And over in Canada, they're all Canadians.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Canada's a good
Oh, yeah.
country too.
They
They know
neighbors.
that if anybody messes with Canada, why, they know that we'll be right there
Oh, sure.
to take care of it.
That's right.
You bet. Yeah. Okay,
Okay, it was nice to meet you.
take care. Have a nice day.
Well, thank you. You too.
Have a good day, sir.
And,
Have a good day.
yeah, you too.
I will certainly try.
Other side there, sir.
I made the same mistake.
Have to put a little star or something.
All right.
Okay, you know, when the customer came, I was talking about the Sabres memorabilia that I had. Because back in the day, when the Sabres were doing good and we thought that they were actually going to
Remember
make
that
it
one,
further
that
in the
one
playoffs.
time, that one
No,
time?
it was 3 years. Because first they had the medallions, then they had the pins, and then they went back to a kind of a medallion type thing. But yeah, I was one of the crazy ones that would have to get the coupon out of the buffalo paper and take it to a Wegmans. I believe it was Wegmans.
Probably.
Wegmans or 7-Eleven, I believe, participated in it too, to get the whole team in a set of the medallion. You know, they had a different player every week. You know?
Right.
So yeah, so I have complete sets of those because you know I've always been kind of a collector hoarder type person. You know,
Well, now
I have
you're taking advantage of
yeah,
it.
yeah, and I have a ton of Beanie Babies. I also have some old retro toys like Popples and Care Bears, and some little Cabbage Patch figures that they had back then. Some homemade wooden toys, like a tractor, an automobile, wooden Godzilla type uh, toy. So
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of different things.
Stuff.
Yes, I'm also into like the new stuff, like Five Nights at Freddy's. I have
Oh,
those
my son loves
those
all that
graphic
stuff.
novels and posters of Five Nights at Freddy's. They've been pretty popular. My grandson, he's 10 now, but when he was 9, he got me into the Five Nights at Freddy's, you know. He was reading The Last Kids on Earth.
Oh, my son
Yeah.
reads that.
Okay,
That's
he
yep.
got to where he was waiting for the next book to come out, of course. So then he got sidetracked into Five Nights at Freddy's. So, and
Yeah.
now I told him, well, the next volume, I think it's volume 5 of the Fazbear Frights, is going to be out soon, and I was actually able to order it. So I told him, I said, you can come to the store and buy your copy
There
of
you
it.
go. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So that arm, you can see it's much better now than what I was doing the first time. Right. So I gotta like erase that on the ink side, but I'm getting a little bit. It's tighter. Like yeah, it was smart for me to step back
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
re-go.
I like the idea of him, you know, with open clenched fist kind of, or
Yeah.
you can tell the
Feel
power
the power.
in his gloves.
Feel
Yeah.
the power.
He's gonna blast you.
Yeah. I originally in the like I had it where it was like closed fist and I was like, it looks so stiff. I'm really trying to work on making sure my there's a little bit more life to the art than something too stiff. So yeah, all right. Let me go back to this ink here and throw that on there, and I can erase that arm because I hate it. And then we'll look at what I did in pencil instead. And
I tell you, this is very interesting watching you draw this like this.
cool.
I've seen the complete finished product of sketches and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's something to actually watch someone draw it in front of your face. I think it's very cool.
Yeah, that's like the whole purpose of me doing the stream is like, I think like we people love comics and everything
Mhm.
like that, and like
Mhm.
I kind of want to like part of it is the idea of uh bringing the like join in on the experience of the making, right?
Mhm.
If you will.
Yeah.
And then uh and have some fun with that too. Like I think like if I do commissions, I've been thinking about like letting the person I'm doing a commission for like join the stream and like talk through the as I'm drawing their specific piece like for them specifically, and I think that'd be like a cool way to make it more than just like the art piece they're hanging on the wall, but it's also like they were part of it's an experience, right? And I think nowadays like it's important to have connection with people. It's so easy to get just lost behind screens
Yeah.
that like even though I've never seen the screen, but like
We're here.
but I'm connected to people watching, and like you're here, and like so like there's this idea of like forging like a connection with the piece and with the art and with what we're doing. I think is a cool. I mean, obviously, I think it's a cool idea because here I'm trying to do it, but and maybe I'm wrong, but like I think people will appreciate that.
Yeah, I've seen other podcasts where they'll introduce all the new comics that come out this week, and they'll give us short review on them, and I find them interesting. I think it's really cool that you asked to come to my store so I could talk about my store while you draw.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that is really cool, and just having fun talking about comics and about stories from the past. And
yeah,
I remember back when I was a kid, there used to be on, I don't know, maybe it was Channel 17 or the paid for channel, whatever, where they would actually show some guy painting a picture.
yes,
Okay.
like Bob Ross.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Okay, and I would see it once in a while, and I'd get interested for a while watching them, but how boring to just sit there and watch him draw. I mean,
right.
he really didn't talk too much other than about him drawing. And for us to sit here and talk about comics and stuff while you're drawing, I think is an added bonus.
I do remember there was a show. I don't remember the name of it. It was on PBS,
Yeah, that's an
and it was they would someone would be reading a story, like a book or whatever, and there would be an artist drawing it in chalk and everything. And I like loved that, and I found it fascinating. No idea what it is now. I tried to tell my wife about it, and she thought I was making it up. So I'm sure someone I could Google it and find it
yeah.
and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
nowadays you can
But like,
Google anything.
but yeah, that was like I love anything that was art related when I was a kid. I was like, yeah, give it to me. That was like back when I was still really thinking I was gonna do this for real, and here I am trying to do it for real again. What do you got there?
Speaking of artwork, I was kind of an amateur artist back in the day. I made a hat, a Doors hat, a leather hat. Went
Oh,
down to Myrtle Beach, got a leather hat, and had decorated with Doors memorabilia on it, and just freehand and just something at the time that thought it was cool. Go to high school with a hat that has drawings that says Doors on it. I also have I also have one drawing of Jefferson Airplane and one of the Grateful Dead.
Oh,
Yeah, so I was a big fan. In fact, I have some mirrors of the Grateful Dead on sale at the store. I have a mirror of Jim Morrison that I got way back in the 1990s, possibly 1980s, probably closer to the 1980s, because I believe I bought it at Cavage's bookstore at the Lockport Mall, if you remember
oh,
that.
nope,
No?
no.
That's the good old Lockport Mall.
I didn't even know there was a Lockport Mall, but
Yeah, well, now it's a Walmart.
okay. I'm not from the
Uh-huh,
area,
yeah.
so like I don't know.
Well, yeah, it was nice. It was our own little mall. The next closest mall, I believe, was the Summit Park Mall in Niagara Falls, outskirts of Niagara Falls.
That's close too.
Yeah. But it was a nice little mall. It had a Cabbages, of course, had a Walden bookstore with a comic book rack in it.
Love the good Walden bookstore back in the
A
day.
ton of shoe stores had Hills, and then they changed to something else. I can't remember. But yeah, unfortunately, Progress, as they call it, they tore it down and put a strip mall in across the street with a Home Depot in the back and the strip mall on the side. It takes away the gathering together. You see people walking in the mall, and yet they'd have some place where you get something to eat,
Yeah,
and you could just congregate, and they had the people too, the health people that would be walking the whole entire perimeter of the mall to get their steps
fifth
in.
step. Yep,
And
mall walkers.
yes, and you had a covered area instead of being exposed to the elements and stuff. And it's just unfortunate the way things change sometimes, and they say it's for the better, but I don't know sometimes.
That's online shopping has like been a big part of that. But
Yeah.
I like likewise sometimes complain about, but then I'm also the first one to like order everything online. So like, what do I know? I'm
Well,
just as guilty. So
I rarely order online just because I like to see and touch and feel what I'm buying before I buy it.
hmm
It's kind of call me old fashioned. It's just kind of obscure for me to do something like that.
yeah. All right. So um think I'm doing a decent job of like let me get rid of some layers here. Um like you can't see the full figure because I that's in pencil, but like uh I think it's a little bit simpler, right, than some of my other ones, which is good. I'm a little bit cleaner in line. So hopefully that's good. If nothing else, it's a good exercise for me as an artist to like try to like do things a little bit differently than what I've been doing. So um just gonna keep going here.
Okay, do you mind if I keep talking about the, the
No,
store and stuff?
you know what? You can go ahead and talk
Okay.
as long and
Okay.
I'll
I
just
just want, see how, since I've opened, I've been active in the community with Lockport Main Street, Discover Lockport. I recently had someone come into the store from the Niagara Youth Football League and wanted to know if I could donate money for their equipment drive, $60 for a pair of shoulder pads or $150 for a helmet. And with $150, then I would get my name, the store's name on a banner that they're going to have.
sure.
So I said, well, I'm just starting out. I can't do that myself, but I'll put a jar, on the counter and ask for donations, and I'll match the donations.
Yeah.
And we started in July, and it was the end of August, and we reached our goal and raised $150 for them to buy them a helmet.
Cool.
And it's a win-win. So they get equipment, and I get some free advertisement.
There you go.
So now. Uh, the next project for the NYFL is, well, of course, they still need more equipment, uniforms, stuff like that. So they're selling raffle tickets, okay, a $10 raffle ticket. They're having the drawing in November, and first prize is $1,000, second prize is 500. I believe third prize is 250, and fourth prize is 120. So I have those tickets available at the store too, if anyone wants to help continue with donating to that. What very helpfully,
Yeah, yeah.
to get our young children involved in
Anytime you can
sports
help
and
out the
stuff like that.
kids, I'm in.
Yes, yeah.
Take care of the kids.
And keep them outside instead of on their cell phones and
Yeah, stop
on
being
their
on computer
computers.
watching people
Yeah, I
stream.
mean, you can go for a while, but not all day long,
No, yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I have screen time limits for my kids. I get it. Um, that's cool.
Yeah, and then this month also, 'cause, we're right on Main Street here in Lockport, so we get, quite a bit of traffic and everything. And I had another woman come and they're doing a roundup for the month of September. They're doing a roundup for the poor. So with your purchase, if you round up your change, it will go to the homeless of Lockport. So we're doing that for the month of September too, trying to see how much, change we can raise for that project.
I appreciate you doing every little thing you can for the local community. I think that's important. Again, I talked about building connections with people. That's like that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, like I said, for my grand opening, I had Buffalo's Wolverine, Robert Smith, come out there,
Yes.
and also Spider-Man. I can't remember the name of the person who played Spider-Man, but I was introduced by them by Todd Habish. He's the photographer for Wolverine, and he came into my store,
Okay.
told me about a comic book show coming up. Uh, so I, went to the comic book show. It was right around the time I was opening up my store back in March. And of course, word got out about my grand opening, my store and everything. So they volunteered to come down for the grand opening.
That's awesome.
And yes, and they do a lot of community work, charity work. And these cos guys are just awesome that they go out and they do this, especially Robert Smith. He's all over the place all the time. And I'm hoping for our first year anniversary, I'll have everyone come back again.
That's awesome.
And also for the at the comic book show, also I met Kurt Leonard, who is an illustrator for Marvel and Disney and DC, and he makes these hologryphs,
Yeah. Yeah.
the posters,
Yeah.
which are pretty awesome. And he came to my grand opening with his artwork and signed all the posters that he sold to the customers at a discounted price too, to help promote him, to promote my store. And so he sold me some of them too. And
That's cool.
let me just show you. This is one of his artwork, is the Joker.
Yeah, that's pretty
Okay,
nice.
which is a nice Heath Ledger Joker.
Yeah. And thank you. Yeah, that looks good.
Of course, everyone's favorite bad guy, Venom, who's all over the
All
Marvel
over the place.
universe now, because they are having the Venom War to see who is going to be the one and only Venom. What's your guess?
Eddie Brock.
Eddie Brock. That's my guess.
I feel like you do that to like kind of bring it back home. But I don't know.
Yeah, so I have at the store, I have available these posters drawn by Kurt Leonard. He also was illustrator for Gargoyles, so I have a Gargoyles
I remember
figure
that cartoon.
that is signed by him, dated 2024. I have a poster of Wolverine, a tribute to Stan Lee, a tribute to Jack Kirby, the Avengers, the Infinity Gauntlet. So a lot of nice artwork, as another addition to the different items that I have in the store.
That's cool. So he was an illustrator on the cartoon of Gargoyles, like
Yes,
he did like cell work.
yes,
That's
yes.
that's cool.
And also the Marvel shows that they had, the Marvel Hour shows that
Oh
they
yeah,
had back in the
yeah, yeah,
90s.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like Spider-Man is Amazing Friends.
yes, and the other one, they had one with the Fantastic Four also.
Oh yeah,
That was the Marvel
I think
Hour.
all those are on
Yeah,
Disney Plus now.
uh-huh.
I hear I'm shilling for Disney
And they
Plus. They
had
don't need me to do that.
actually, I think they did like a Secret Wars version too of Marvel on that
Okay.
back in the day. But yeah, and he also
Probably.
was an illustrator for Beauty and the Beast. Okay,
Oh, cool.
so yeah, he has posters of Belle and the Beast, that he drew because
Yeah.
he got the license from Disney. So yeah, we become friends actually, and I had sold a bunch of his posters, so then I call him and said, Kurt, the next show is until October. I need to replace someone to get some posters in here. I can't wait till then. So he, put up an order together, and he shipped it to me from Canada because he lives in Canada now. So, I have a good relationship with him. He also has Star Wars posters. They're like a tribute to Han Solo and Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia. And he also drew the animated Star Trek series. So he has a poster of Star Trek uh, and Star Trek: The New Generation. So a lot of
Okay.
different items that I could actually order if there was a customer that was interested in something that I don't have. So that option is available to my customers.
That's cool. All right. Now you still collect your comics, right?
Yes,
You're
I do.
you're still buying all the new ones and stuff.
Yes.
Like you're in just as much as
Yes.
you as before. Always, right? It's not
Yeah.
just like
In fact, my office has long boxes with comics that I'm not ready to part with yet. So
okay.
sorry about that, customers, but
No, no,
those ones are mine.
that's okay. All right. So you're still in. How many new books are you reading every week? Are you reading
Oh my
everything?
gosh, no, it's impossible to read everything. Okay,
Okay.
but like I said before, Fantastic Four is always one of my favorites, so I always get the Fantastic
So
Four.
always Fantastic Four.
I love the new Ultimate series that the
Yep.
Ultimates that they have because of course it has it has Doom, which is Reed Richards in it from the old Fantastic Four, and I really liked when they had the Ultimate Universe where they brought on Miles Morales in
Yes.
the
Yes.
Ultimate
Yes. Yeah. I
Universe,
remember that. Yeah.
and actually that's the Fantastic Four Ultimate Universe comic is where the Marvel Zombies actually came from in the beginning. Okay,
Oh, okay.
and then also that's where Reed Richards turned bad and became the Maker,
Who's the guy who
who
set
is
up
now
the
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 total evil person
yeah that
in the
set it
whole
all up.
Marvel universe. And he has a mask over his face, kind of, or a helmet, because I think his brain expanded because he's the Maker, and
It looks like
he has stretching powers like Mr. Fantastic, but he made his brain stretch. Okay.
an alien kind
But
of
yeah, yeah.
shaped
So
thing.
you really can't see who he is. You don't know that he's Reed Richards. Okay, and none of the other characters know that he's Reed Richards,
Oh, they don't know.
except for Doom. No, I think Doom himself doesn't even know that the Maker is Reed Richards from an alternate universe. Okay, he knows that he is kidnapped Reed Richards from another alternate universe that was brought to the new alternate universe that the Maker has reshaped into the way he wants it, where he has the Kingpin controlling an area. He has other mobsters, other villains that he still kept with their memories and stuff,
Yeah,
just so they could control and rule that area for the Maker.
got it.
So now, of course, all the superheroes are Ultimate Spider-Man is another new one that is pretty cool. It's in a universe where Peter Parker never became Spider-Man because of the Maker. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
he's married to Mary Jane, has two kids, but he always feels like something's missing. Okay, then he gets this little thing from Tony Stark, who is a younger version of
Yeah,
the Tony Stark that we have
it's like
now.
Kid Tony
Yes,
Stark.
because his father was the one that discovered everything that the Maker did, and his father ended up dying. So he's called Iron Lad, even though he's going to be Iron Man eventually.
Sounds like King the
Okay.
Conqueror. Wasn't King the Conqueror Iron Lad originally with the Young
Yeah, it
Avengers?
could have been. Anyhow, he sends Spider-Man this little globe thing that tells him, okay, there's this will give you a suit, a high-tech suit. Also will give you, he gets bit by the spider. So
Okay.
he becomes Spider-Man, gets the Spider-Man powers and everything, and then they tell him the truth about what happened, how they're trying to become superheroes again, and blah blah blah. And it's pretty cool because Mary Jane and his kids are, oh, that's pretty cool. Dad's a superhero now,
Yeah.
even though he got the what kicked out of him by Kingpin because he came home all bruised and everything. It's like, Dad, what happened to you? So that's a pretty cool read too because it's an ultimate universe where him and Mary Jane got together, they had kids, and he was still Spider-Man. He was still a superhero.
Cool.
So yeah, the way it's tying in together, I'm not very much of an ultimate Black Panther or Ultimate X-Men fan. Just because it gets to be too much. You know, you can only read so much. And then I also love Spider-Man. Okay, Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's always been one of my favorites. They recently had a big showdown with him and the Green Goblin, where for a while Norman Osborn was being a good guy and
That
think
never
evil
works.
thoughts, of course. And so, of course, Spider-Man already had it prepared just in case he went bad, a way to stop him. And they wound up wrapping it up with issue number 50, which of course was a double size or triple size issue. But it was a really cool read, and I enjoyed that.
Cool.
Um,
Good.
yeah, and some storylines aren't too good, but some storylines, you get interested in, you
Good.
want to see what's going to happen next.
That's good. Well, you're not gonna love everything,
Yeah,
right? And what I
yeah.
always tell people, like, if you don't love it, don't read it. Like, it's cool. Like, there's enough content out there, for everybody. So, like, read what you want, buy what the creators that you enjoy, and
Don't
go.
be afraid to try something new once in a while.
That's right.
And if you don't like it, you don't like it.
But yeah, definitely support the indie stuff. The indie stuff,
Yeah.
like,
Hmm.
it's more than just the big two. All right, cool. We're coming up on an hour, so and that's where I usually like to cut my stream is at the hour, so that way I don't go too long. You guys can see where I'm at from the Doctor Doom perspective and everything like that. As usual, I'll finish this at home and then I'll post it along with the video and everything like that of the final project. And Russ, it was great spending time with you.
It's great
Thank
talking to you
you.
too.
Um,
And I love what you've done with Doctor Doom.
Thank
I
you.
think the final product is going to be pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I don't love everything, right? But again, this goes back to me like
tell you,
freaking out.
I can
But
see the power glowing from his gloves,
I
his
like it.
hands.
I like it.
Yeah.
So, but again, Russkulls, Comics and Collectibles in Lockport, cool shop, a great mix of like the new stuff, but also like really the thing that like catches my eyes, all the like collectibles, like the cards and stuff like that. So like if you want a place to just like browse and like see what's neat, this is a good place to stop in. So
Yeah, we're open from 12 to 6 every day, except for Tuesdays and Sundays. We're closed on Tuesdays and Sundays.
awesome. All right.
45 East Ave, Lockport, New York.
All right, and as usual, subscribe, like the videos and everything like that, and I will share with you guys online where I'm going to be next. But I don't know if there's going to be somewhere in between, but I will be doing a different one that's not on a Wednesday at a comic book store coming up. I'll be going to my childhood comic book store in Minnesota, Collectors Connection. So
Wow.
look forward to seeing me at Collectors Connection as I travel to Minnesota to do that. And then I'm going to try to be a little bit more regular with some of my stuff too. So I have some set days where I want to spotlight some certain artists and learn from them, like kind of like I did with Dan Mora earlier today. And then I will also have some days set where you'll see me working on my indie comics. So you'll get a sneak peek because you'll get actual like paneled pages that I'm working on as part of the stream instead of just like a pinup of Doctor Doom like we did today. So you'll see a little bit more consistency on my calendar, and I'll share that on Twitter and on Instagram and everything like that. But thank you, and I will talk to you guys next time.
Thank you.